Hello, my name is Elaine, and on March 26, 2015, I left the United States for a 3-week experience as a farmer-to-farmer volunteer in Ethiopia. Farmer-to-Farmer is a program that has U.S. farmers transfer their technology or knowledge to farmers all over the world. It's funded by USAID, that's the United States Agency for International Development, and like I said, it takes place all over the world, but in East Africa, it's implemented by CRS, that's Catholic Relief Services. The CRS involvement is actually what got me interested in the Farmer-to-Farmer program to begin with. I saw a newspaper article about it, and I've been a supporter of CRS for years, but this seemed like an opportunity to volunteer and to do more than just write a check, to actually participate in a way that hopefully will improve the lives of farmers in the developing world. I really did not know what to expect from Ethiopia. I'm pretty well traveled, and this was going to check off my 5th continent, but it was my first time to Africa, and it turns out that even among African countries, Ethiopia is very, very different. They use a different calendar than the rest of the world. They tell time differently than the rest of the world. So it was all, as different a place as you could possibly imagine from what I'm used to in the Midwestern United States, and it was absolutely fascinating. The agriculture was different too. I didn't know what to expect, and it turns out, each family is farming on effectively 1 or 2 acres, so the most practical way for them to farm at that scale is to use oxen to plow the fields and to plant the seeds by hand and to harvest the grain by hand, and they haul their grain to town on donkey carts. There is some use of some tractors that they can rent out or use if they're at a large enough scale, but it's still very basic and very different. So their marketing challenges are obviously different too. They were most worried about the low prices, of course, so the grain prices changing from one year to the next. That's very similar to what U.S. farmers worry about. They were very worried about the weather, of whether it was going to rain to get them a good start for their harvest. That's something that U.S. farmers obviously worry about. So at this scale of production, Ethiopian farmers' marketing, their grain marketing, obviously faces challenges too. And that's where I came in as a farmer-to-farmer volunteer. I'm a grain market analyst here in the United States, so my project here in Farmer-to-Farmer was to work with a farmers' cooperative union and to think about ways that they can use value chain analysis to improve the profits for their farmers. So the farmers now that are going to market their grain for cash have the alternative of perhaps selling it at an open-air market at their local village, or, and this is just within the past 7 years, the country of Ethiopia has licensed farmers' cooperatives. So you've got little co-ops out in the country, primary co-ops, that then band together under the umbrella of a farmers' cooperative union. And that's the host organization that I was working with, the Bora Denbel Farmers Cooperative Union in Meki, which is a town in the region of Oromia in Ethiopia. So on the topic of value chain analysis, my responsibility was to present this business topic to the member farmers of the cooperative union. So this involved going out and giving presentations to groups of farmers, hearing from them about their challenges. And it's important for them to understand this topic of value chain analysis because it is a co-op, and if they change the ways that they're going to do business in the future, this will require the farmers to come together in a general assembly and vote on that and to support the union itself. So the board of directors of all of the primary cooperatives and the member farmers themselves were all very receptive and very, very kind to me, and I learned so much from them. And of course, the main part of the project was working with the co-op union's employees themselves to think about ways that they can make more money for their member farmers. And this involves, from the front end, buying all different kinds of grain, creating the most value from every type of grain that they're buying and managing that well through their system. And then ultimately doing value-adding activities that can hopefully someday help them sell a higher priced product. For instance, milling the grain into flour and selling directly to end consumers, or perhaps to export consumers, finding new markets for their grain. And this was terribly exciting to me because, even in the United States, as the grain market has developed here over the past hundreds of years, it seems like a lot of that profitable opportunity has moved away from the hands of the farmers. So as Ethiopia is developing, they've got a wonderful opportunity to keep that value-adding, profit-making activities in the hands and in the control of the farmers because they are effectively starting from scratch here. There are other cooperative unions not Bora Denbel, that do some of these value-adding activities. So it can be done, and I am certainly keeping in touch with the people that I worked with there for several weeks. You know, got to know them really well, was really treated very kindly, and I will never forget the experience, obviously. And so, like I mentioned, we keep in touch, and we're still working on these activities that, you know, someday are going to help get a better price for grain for the Ethiopian farmers.